This interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. And if you have been stuck, stopped, plateaued, or just not as fulfilled, vaguely dissatisfied with life, the 21-Day Challenge might be the reignition of your passion and purpose so that you can succeed like never before. If you're interested, what it is every single day we'll have daily check-ins, weekly deep dives to make sure that in 21 days you accomplish your single-minded focus goal. Whatever that top goal is for you, you'll have the support of me every single day for 21 days to achieve it. So if that sounds like fun for you, send me a message, send me an email, and we'll get back to you. It's not for everyone. It's super intense, and if you're ready for that reignition to be your greatest possible self and achieve your 21-day challenge, send me a message. Love to talk to you about it. Now, the next part of this interview that is about to come on, Daniel's about to rock the house. Before that, I'm going to share the iTunes review of the week, and that is by Unlimited Beliefs. Helpful, usable content. I really like this show. The content is so helpful because it's told through the story of the guest, which is relatable, and it's easy to plug in and use, as well as inspiring along the way. Tune in. Thank you so much, Unlimited Beliefs. And if you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes. That'll take you to our iTunes page, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self in iTunes or on Facebook, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. You'll find it there, and you can leave us a review there as well. We appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. For the man of the hour, Mr. Daniel Gefen, we are going to dive into some serious heat. Daniel Gefen is the founder of Gefen Media Group and podbooker.com, which I'm sure we're going to be diving into some super awesomeness today. He's also the host of Can I Pick Your Brain and The Daniel Gefen Show. He is the #1 international best-selling author of the Self Help Addict. I want to get into that and why he called it that. He lives in Israel with his wife and 4.5 children. He has a half children, so we're going to find out who the half child is in a second. Daniel, you ready to rock this, brother?
I'm very ready. The half child is now 3/4 child, so that should give it away.
Got an upgrade.
By the way, I'm feeling very hairy right now because I'm looking at you and you've got not a hair on your face. Like there's just nothing. It's just like you wax yourself. Like you just like I don't know. Wax your face.
It's the wind resistance, man. It's so I can perform at a higher level. You know, like the swimmers, they have to shave their whole body so they can swim faster. I do this so I can perform better and accomplish more. You know, there's less wind resistance.
See, I went swimming today in the pool, and I was wondering why I was super slow. It must be the beard.
It's that drag. The beard drag.
For those of you listening to the podcast and not watching, Chris Burns, you've got to Google him and you'll see his face, and you can kind of look at my recent Facebook pictures and you'll see why. Because otherwise, you just have no idea what we're talking about, right? It's like, what are they talking about?
I love it, man. So, Daniel, I love your energy. I love your personality, your style. We're going to dive into that and who you are in a second. Before that, we talk about the theme of the day, which is recalibration. So how does this concept and idea of recalibration show up for you in your life, in your business, career? How does recalibration show up for you, Daniel?
Recalibration. Wow, the word of the day. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, recalibration is very important because I have a lot of very high highs and low lows. My therapist thinks that I'm somewhat bipolar. She hasn't actually like certified me with the label.
There's no stamp yet.
There's no stamp, so relax. Right? Just like most people are ADHD, but they don't have the certified approval, which is so I haven't been certified yet. But my wife will tell you that I have some, big highs but very low lows. And when I have my lows, the way that I've trained myself to deal with them is to really just kind of see the big picture and just take a step back and just look at everything I've got in my life and just be really thankful and grateful for everything. And just also not be too hard on myself, just kind of allow myself to have that down day or that down week. If it's a down week, just ride it, just be there with it, just accept it. And to me, that is part of recalibration. It's really taking in stock and saying, well, you know what? look where I've come so far. Look what I've accomplished. Because when you're having a down, and for those of you that have these downs, you'll relate to this. You get all these negative thoughts of like, oh, I'm never going to be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling so low?
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually a very important time to just look, at what you've accomplished in life and say, well, look how far I've come. Look what I've done. In fact, at the end of my book, I have a chapter called Balancing Becoming and Being. Becoming and being, because the problem that I saw through my life, and also looking at, we can get into the whole self-help industry and why I wrote the book, The Self Help Addict. I saw a lot of people climbing the proverbial mountain and getting to the top, and then unfortunately they would then jump off when they got to the top. And I don't need to mention names, but there are actors and celebrities and people who have got to the peak of their career, athletes, and suddenly they just overdose or they hang themselves, unfortunately. And you wonder, like, wait, what just happened? They just got like the biggest break. They just got to the top. And what I think the problem is that that's the problem. They got to the top and they felt empty. And they said, well, is this all there is? And that's why they jumped off. And I think that to prevent that, we need to, when we climb the mountain, we've got to stop. And we've got to look back down the mountain and look at where we've come and say, wow, look what I've done. We just keep climbing, hustle. We hear it all over the place. You got to hustle your face off, right? No, you got to stop sometimes, look down the mountain. You see the people down the mountain? They're not where you are. You were there once. Remember that.
Yeah.
Then look around you, look at the view, look how beautiful it is where you are right now. Without going a step further, just look around you. Look how beautiful, stunning it is. Take it in. Then you could look back up the mountain and continue climbing.
Yeah. What I hear is an energy of celebration, an energy of acknowledgement, an energy of cherishing. I cherish the journey that it's taken me to get here. I cherish my surroundings, my environment. I'm present. I soak it all in. I enjoy it. I'm grateful for it. Gratitude is a big thing as well. And then you look back and it's like, wow, and I still get to go and keep creating and climbing up this mountain. And like you said, I think when people have just time after time after time achieve their goals, climbing the mountain and always feeling like, damn, what's next? Or, having that celebration party, actors, actresses, whatever, and then they're hanging around all these people, and at the end when they go to bed, they're like I don't really feel fulfilled. Like all these people, all these people are saying congratulations, but if they're not willing to give it to themselves, then they still feel empty. And I think that would cause a mental schism. Like all these people think I'm so awesome, but at the end of the day, I go to bed feeling like crap. What's going on? What am I missing here? And after that builds up long enough, frustration, disconnection, what happens?
I have a theory that the generation we're living in right now, there's a mass addiction. I think everybody is addicted to one thing, and that is approval. We're addicted to approval. And it's the reason why we take 50 different selfie angles to get the perfect one, and then we search for the perfect filter, right? And then we post it on Facebook, and we just like hold our breath and wait for those likes to come in. It's like being in the it's like gambling. Facebook and Instagram is like pulling on a slot machine at a gambling thing, and you keep having to pull on that slot machine because maybe this one, and how many likes am I going to get, and how many comments, right? And again, it's also a drug. There's a drug that you release, and that's actually in a way more dangerous because with drugs you see what's going on, right? There's a physical drug that you're taking and you're consuming it. Here, you're producing the drug in your own brain.
Wow.
You're creating a factory. You're basically becoming a drug dealer. You're becoming your own drug dealer, and you're creating drug dealers because if you think about it, everybody who's liking and commenting, everybody who approves of you is your drug dealer, and you keep getting hits off of them. Wow. And even if it's good, like here's the thing is, when someone says to you something like, "Oh, you're an idiot," right? We get upset about it. Well, why are you getting upset? Like, he just had a bad day, or she had a bad day. It's got nothing to do with you, right? But it's also the same thing when someone says, wow, Chris, is that shirt, where is that from? I love it. It's really cool. It looks really good on you. You just felt good. I saw you. You smiled. You felt good. But crying out loud, Chris, it's a bloody shirt. You didn't do anything. Just bought this shirt like it was made in China by someone and for like $1. And I'm complimenting you on your shirt, and you're getting all. It's like I'm pressing your buttons. You're like a puppet now. I'm just like controlling. We're puppets to everybody else, because we're like constantly wanting to be fed this feeling of you approve of me.
Wow.
Fake eyelashes, fake this, fake that. Like, everything's just.
Yeah.
So
that's the first thing I think of, fake eyelashes.
Well, you don't need fake eyelashes, Chris, because your eyelashes are just stunning. That's the first time you've ever had that on your show.
Definitely. I love it, man. I love it. So, dude, I want to get into more about why I was really excited to get into this interview, because I think we've been friends on Facebook for like a year or 2 years or something. And I was looking at your stuff and your content, and we weren't really super connected until recently. And I was looking at your content and I said, wow, like, this is really good copywriting. It's really different. It's really powerful. Daniel's getting, all the likes, all the engagement. He's crushing it. His chemical factory is working overtime, baby.
I'm about to get OD'd, man, on my own content.
But seriously, like, I really admired your style and how you do things, and I felt there was a different energy, a unique energy about it that I appreciated. So I'm excited to dive into the journey of how you got to where we are today. Before that, though, for anyone who's just learning about you and knowing about you, discovering you through my show, or getting a chance to hear you through your audience or whoever's audience, why don't you tell our audience, whoever's listening, to a little bit more about you?
What do you want to know? I mean,
all of it, Daniel.
I have so many fans. You did a decent introduction too. I'm just the guy. I'm just the kid. I'm the kid in the classroom that just wants to express myself. That's really who I am. If I was to summarize who is Daniel Gefen, I'm that kid in the classroom that was always told to shut up. Right, the teachers used to basically say, "Shut up, Gefen," right? Wow. And then, of course, the students they renamed me. Instead of Daniel Gefen, it was Shutup Gefen, right? That was my new name, Shutup Gefen. I took a lot of abuse in school, a lot of emotional abuse, and now I just won't shut up. Like, now it's just like, well, you guys try to shut me up, but now I basically make money speaking. So
that's right.
And I won over my wife, my Californian wife, 11 years ago by speaking. So I talked her into marrying me. Actually, in my book, I talk about how I tricked her into marrying me, but that's a whole other story. But again, it's the power of speech. It's the power of my words. And I have 2 podcast shows. I've interviewed, billionaires and Fortune 500 CEOs and athletes and celebrities. And again, it's just the ability to speak. And when I sell, it's the ability to speak. And, you talking about my content. And first of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you like my content. So you're one of my drug dealers. So thank you for that. That content is an expression. It's coming from a deep place within that wants to express. And I think we're all born with that desire to express ourselves, and a lot of us get shut down. If you look at kids, if you look at little children, I have 4 and 3/4 right now. My wife is pregnant with our 5th, and
that's so awesome, man.
If you look at my kids, for example, they're just full of expression. They just constantly want to experiment and express themselves and who they are. And for some reason, as adults, as we grow older, we stop expressing ourselves. We have this fear of, what if I say this, or what if I come out and do this, and we stop ourselves from being our greatest possible self.
Right.
We hold ourselves back because we're scared. And so I'm just a guy who just wants to express myself, and I won't let my fears and I won't let other people's thoughts about me or what I think they're going to think about me, all that crap in the head. I don't let that get in the way of expressing myself. So I just put myself out there. I'm very raw. I'm very real. I'm very off the cuff. I'll say what I think in the moment. I did not prepare for this episode or this conversation. I didn't prepare at all, and I don't prepare usually at all. I go on. I've been on about 60 shows now, and I never prepare. And even on my own show, I have a show called the Daniel Gefen Show. It's a daily show where I basically go to the park and I talk to myself. I have a therapy session with myself for about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's my show. That's my one of my shows.
Real quick, I want to dive into that. What have you discovered through that process?
Well, I'll tell you how it started. It's interesting. So I had my original show called Can I Pick Your Brain? That started 3 years ago, and that's an interview-based weekly show. I've interviewed some great guests. But then what happened was I have this thing where I'm constantly thinking. I have a brain that just constantly works. It just keeps going, new ideas, new thoughts. Why this? Why that? Why are we here? What's this? What's that? Just, constantly moving and working. And when I go to bed at night, I struggle to go to sleep because they're going, right? Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, shut up. I'm going to sleep now. Okay. Leave me alone. Right? I talk my thoughts, by the way, which we can talk about soon.
Yes.
I talk to my thoughts and feelings. So, what happens though is what I discovered is that when you go to sleep, your thoughts don't stop, they accumulate. So when you wake up in the morning, you just get bombarded with this waterfall because there was like a dam. You stop the thoughts and boom, and I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, so I have to go out to the park, and I basically would walk around the park talking to myself because I need to talk out these thoughts. I need to get them out and talk them through. The problem is I don't want to be put in a mental home. So what I did was I put my earphones in, plugged them into my phone, and I would walk around with my earphones in, and people would think I'm having this conversation with someone on the phone.
Wow.
So thank you to the person who invented the earphones and the smartphone, because thanks to you, I'm not in a mental home. And I was having one of these morning conversations with myself, and I thought to myself afterwards, I said, that was really good. I kind of wish I was like on a stage or on a podcast show, because that was good content. And that's when the light bulb kind of went off, and I said, well, why don't I just hit record? And then I can just create a podcast. And of course, another thought came and said, Daniel, you're nuts. Nobody wants to listen to some crazy wacko walking around in the park talking to themselves. And then I'm like, shut up, okay? Let's just see what happens. And then, of course, I use my wife as a guinea pig. So I'm like, honey, can you listen to this? I'm going to record myself tomorrow, and I want you to just listen to how it sounds. Of course, my poor dear wife, has to put up with all the crap I go through. So, like, when I was writing my book, I had to read every page to her out.
Wow.
She had to read it because I wanted to hear what it sounded like from someone else's voice. And she's like, can't I just read it to myself? I'm like, no, I need to hear it. So she's like, anyway, so she listens to the recording, and she's like, wow, this is really good. I was like, yeah. And so she said, yes. Yeah. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I created the Daniel Gefen Show. And it's been great. It's been really, it's amazing.
Beautiful. So I want to dive into the impact that you're having, and how to what is it, like speak from our underwear, get our message out from our underwear. We're going to dive into that in a second. I do want to go back into the journey, though, a little bit more of those formative years of what you went through to be able to own your voice, to own your self-expression that we see today, because I'm sure it wasn't always this easy, because you went from, Shutup Gefen and all those bullies and people who were being mean, trying to oppress you, to this man who's so confident, so empowered. Dude, the people that you've interviewed, I saw those too. It's like, wow, dude, amazing who you're attracting, the caliber of conversations that you're getting in your life. So what was that process and journey like? What were some of the challenges along the way?
I think my wife helped me a lot, actually. Getting married, and having children, and just, realizing, oh my God, I'm a father. Like, geez, like, their lives are in my hands. That's scary. That's scary stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're forced almost to kind of man up. Like,
Level up. Yep.
you're a dad now. It's actually quite funny because now my 10-year-old, like if I wake up late, he's like, "What?" And like I'll tell him off for something, and he's like, "Well, at least I didn't sleep in, Dad." And I'm like, "God, I'm gonna kill you." It's like, my children like basically are my greatest mentors because they are a reflection of who I am. So when I do something, there's a ripple effect, and I see it through my children. Like they literally are my mirrors. It's like if you want to get a really, really close up, reflection of who you are, like look at your children, because you're the tree, right? And how do you know what type of tree it is? You see the fruit, right? If it's an apple tree, then if there's apples growing, then there's an apple tree. If there's a lemon tree, if there's lemons growing, it's a lemon tree. So when I look at my children, I see how they behave, I see how they talk, I see what that's me. It's all coming from, right? And then my wife, of course, as well, is also whenever I get too arrogant, my wife makes sure that she gets me good on the head and says like, "Oh, you're a nothing. Don't be so full of yourself, And then of course, which is great. And then of course, when I'm down, when I'm feeling like I'm feeling like crap, I'm feeling like nothing. I'm like, what am I? Like I can't do anything. She's like, "What are you kidding me? Do you know what you've done? You're successful businesses. You've written a successful book. You've got podcast." I'm like, all right. My ego is getting too big now. Thank you. So that's helped me a lot. And if you're not a husband, if you're not married and you don't have children, then it's about having a good group of friends.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people who are going to be honest with you and tell you, really, they're going to call you out on your crap, right? If you're BSing your way, they'll call you out. They'll be like, "Daniel, you're being an idiot. This is not you." And I've had that many times where I suddenly become where I'm trying to impress people, and so I'm being fake and I'm not being me. Then either my wife or my good friends will say, "Daniel, like, what are you doing? That's not you." Or I have a spiritual mentor. I have a rabbi. I'm an Orthodox Jew. So I have a spiritual mentor, my rabbi, who again keeps me in check when I'm not on the path that I want to be on. He'll put me back on the path. He'll say, "Daniel, you're going off in the wrong way again. Get back on there." And then I have business mentors. It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people.
The mirror. It sounds like the mirror. Like your kids are such powerful mirrors because they soak up everything that you do, say, and how you show up. They are a direct reflection of you, like you said. What kind of fruits are we producing? And then before that, it was your wife, right? Your wife, like she gave you that reflection. She helped you recalibrate anytime you were off track, and so that you could be on your purpose, so that you could be fulfilled, so that you could be your greatest possible self. And then in addition to that, you have other layers of mentors, spiritual mentors, business mentors, coaches, and for me, I love this show, this 12-hour marathon, because I get to surround myself with people who are a reflection of me. I see aspects in you that I love, and then I see aspects, like that beard that I never would tolerate.
Let's go there.
I'm just kidding, but seriously, like it's awesome because we get to see those reflections in our environment. And for anyone listening or watching, when you start to take ownership of that and design that, create that, engineer that, like I don't know how, like what kind of work did you do, Daniel, to attract your wife? Like who did you have to become? How did you grow yourself?
Definitely not my face. And I didn't have money then, so it was not that either. I was broke as a joke. No, it was. Honestly, if you ask my wife, it was my. What does she say? She normally says, I think it was just me being genuine. It was she saw that rawness in me. I was just very open and very. What you see is what you get. I'm not gonna try to play the game, although sometimes I do, and she smacks me around the face. For playing the game. But just being real and this is gonna sound so, and I hate this because it's so many people talking about it now. It's like, oh, you got to be real and you've got to be vulnerable and you've got like, hello, like we're human beings, of course we're real. Like I'm not Pinocchio. Like, I'm a real boy. Like what? Like everyone on social media is now, I'm a real girl. I'm a real boy. Like, what the heck's wrong with you people? Of course you're. What were you expecting? Why is this like something new? What's new about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find a lot of the stuff funny.
Well, I
People,
think there's a
We're
rediscovery.
Wow.
There's a rediscovery. You know, like
You're
they.
not made in China? Let me check. You're not made in China. You're authentic. You're real. Oh, okay, good.
So you say you come from the perspective of course. Like, how did you not recognize that? How did you not see that?
I think it's about awareness. That's what I think it really comes down to. I think it comes down to being so aware of who you are and your surroundings and what you're doing. It's just really switching on that awareness button. Right? And then we all have it. We have an awareness button. And some of us have very rarely pressed it. We're just like mechanical robots, just doing what everyone else is doing, or doing what everyone else wants us to do, or doing what we think everyone else wants us to do, or doing what everyone's telling us to do. And we just, whether it's your father, your mother, your grandmother, your uncle, your friends, your peers, your whoever it is, your idols, right? We become robotic, and so our awareness button is just not on. And so when it's not on, we're just going on the conveyor,
autopilot,
life.
hamster wheel. Yeah.
Autopilot, hamster wheel, puppet, all of those things. Yeah. And then you just die, and that's the end of it. Sorry for the morbid, reality check. But when you flip on that switch, that awareness switch, everything's different. Everything. You start to see everything clearly. You start to see everything for what it is. You start to see your motivations for things. Why am I doing this? Why am I standing here spending 20 minutes to choose which shirt I'm going to wear today? For freaking hell's sake, who cares? Just the shirt. Just put anything.
So I want to dive into this. What would you say is a permanent way to turn on the awareness switch?
No. See. Yeah. Everyone wants that. Oh yeah. What's the easy, quick way? A Self Help Addict. Yeah. Let's read a bunch of books and we'll change our life. Yeah. Thank you very much. No such thing. No such thing. Tony Robbins is not going to change your life. I don't care how many coals you walk on barefoot. It's not going to happen. Right. Sorry to be the Debbie Downer here. Right. But there is no permanent switch. Every single day that you wake up in the morning, you got to flip that switch back on. And sometimes you got to flip it a couple of times in the day. Yeah. Sometimes you got to wake up and say, hold on a second, I'm sleeping again. I'm sleepwalking again. Daniel, wake up, right? And when you wake up, you start to notice that other people are sleepwalking. And you laugh. You actually laugh. It's funny because, there's pity. You have pity because like, oh my goodness, they're not living. They're behind the camera and their wife is sitting opposite them and they're on a date. Is that what they call it? A date? Right? When you're sitting there on your phone, that's not a date, man. That's just like, she's just there, but she's not really there. Yeah. You're just,
someone's like filling space, not in a meaningful way.
Right. Or like people at restaurants are like taking pictures of the food. Eat the damn food. Enjoy the food. It's good. Why the heck do you need to take pictures of the food? Right? Or it's like, just eat the food. Enjoy the company. Why are you... So, but let's get practical for a second, because look, at the end of the day, yes, it's amazing to be able to take pictures and videos because we're documenting our lives and it's wonderful. And you can look back and sometimes me and my wife, we spend an evening looking at our 10-year-old when he was 2. And it's like, oh, remember when he did that? So it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's memories. But, you've got to know when to stop. You've got to know when to stop. Get out from under the camera and actually living. I compare it to, for example, if you watch a sports game, what are you into? Football, basketball? What's your thing?
Football. Yeah.
Okay. So imagine if you look at a football game, you've got 3 types of people. Mm-hmm. You've got the players, you've got the spectators, the people who are at the game watching the game, and then you've got the cameraman, right? You've got the people behind the cameras. So the players are the ones that are getting wealthy. They're getting fit. They're having a good time, right? They're doing what they love. They're it, right? They're playing the game. They're playing life.
Right.
The spectators are sitting there. They're paying money to watch this. Okay, they're getting entertained, but you can't get the rush when the guy gets the ball and he goes and does it. You'll never get that watching. You have to do it. You have to play it, right? So that's a second level. Like you're getting like you're watching it, you're seeing it, right? And you've got the spectators of life, right? Where they just spectate and they see other people doing things and they're just like, wow, look at him, wow, look at her. And then you've got the third stage, which is the people behind the camera. They're not even enjoying the game because they've got to make sure they get the right angle. They've got to make sure they get the right, did you get that? Did you get that image? So they're not even able to enjoy the game even. They're not even able to enjoy watching the game because they're so focused on the camera angle and being in the right place at the right. So you've got these three types of people in life. The players, people who are playing it and doing it and getting that high and accomplishing and impacting and making people, entertaining people and motivating other people and just being on stage, being a Tony Robbins, being an Oprah Winfrey, like doing it, writing the books, creating the podcasts that you're doing, Chris. You've got the creators of the world, and then you've got the people who are just these spectators in life. They're watching everything happen. And then you've got people who are even worse, which are, they're just sitting behind the camera. It's like, let me just document everything around me because, I don't know, I'm just going to do this. Like, dude.
Right? That's so true, though. It's like, it's more important to show other people that I'm like living a life, that I'm acting a certain way, that I'm proving that I'm enough, whatever that these people are doing behind the camera, instead of actually living life. And I think this is such a freaking awesome conversation, man. This is powerful.
It's so important. It really is. It's so important.
Dude, so we start taking that ownership as the players, being on the court, on the field of our own life. What will be different about how we show up in life? What will be different instead of like caring about the camera and the angle of how we're showing things off? What changes when we're actually on the court living life?
You're talking about what changes within you or what changes within other people? Because I mean, within you, you feel it. People ask me all the time, Daniel, what's your favorite book? It's like a question that people ask. They love asking this on podcast shows. They're like, I don't have anything else to ask him. So, hey, what's your favorite book? I'm just being mean. And I always say the same thing. I'm like, sorry to be, it's going to sound arrogant, but my favorite book is the one I wrote. Right? But I'm not saying it out of ego or arrogance. I'm actually saying it because it really is. It is the favorite. Because there is no comparison. And I've read hundreds of books. Yeah. Maybe even thousands of books, possibly, in my life. My room's filled with self-help books, business books, and psychology books, right? But there's no greater feeling than when you get that first copy of the book that you wrote in your hands. You can't describe that. I can't describe to you the feeling of holding your own child if you haven't had children. Can't describe that feeling. So it's the same thing. Like, you can't describe the feeling of having the first printed copy of your book in your hand. It's like, oh my goodness, I wrote a book. And then you hear someone talk about how, someone random across the face of the earth, they're like, hey, I read your book and it really impacted my life. You're like, whoa, I impacted someone's life in Tokyo. It's like, I've never even been there. I don't even know where that is on the map. Right. And it's like someone's been impacted by something I wrote, and they're like holding a picture of your book. Like, that's mine. I wrote that in my pajamas, like in my underwear. Like, I wrote that. That's incredible. That's my words. That's my expression. That's me in this world. I've planted my seeds in this world. It's like having children. It's like bearing children. For generations to come, your name will be continued. Your legacy will be continued. Same thing when you produce a book, when you produce a podcast show, when you produce videos. You are creating. You're leaving your legacy behind. It's incredible. How can you compare that to reading someone else's book? You play music, for example. I don't know if you play music, Chris, but if you listen to a beautiful piece, and I love music. I get very zoned in. Like, I don't know what I would do if music didn't exist. It's spiritual. I believe that music is a spiritual thing. It talks to your soul. Yes. There's different languages in life. There's languages of love. There's languages of music. Music can talk to you in a way that I've cried to a piece of music with no words. Cried, tears. Like, Like, just what is that? It hits you on such a deep level. But when you play music, if you've ever learned to play and master an instrument, and you know what, not even master it. I grew up wanting to play the piano. And the problem is that my teacher got so upset with me, she wanted to break my fingers off. So that didn't last very long. And I didn't have patience. And I was like, I wasn't the easiest kid to teach anything to. Karate also was like another thing that my sensei would like just, I can't remember. He called me, what was the name again? Smiley, because I was just like laughing all the time. He's like, we're supposed to be serious. This is karate. You know, it's like, you're supposed to be like, yeah, hey, hey. It's like, and I'm just like laughing away. It's like the whole class, like, okay, you're ruining the class, Gefen, get out. So that didn't last. The point is that I always wanted to play the piano. And so I didn't play the piano, but I bought a piano recently, a couple of years ago. I said to my wife, I said, honey, I don't care if I sound really bad. I want to play the piano. It's just a dream of mine. I'm going to play it. So I bought a piano and I just started playing. And I'm telling you, like, sometimes I would just sit there and something would just come out of me. And it was just so beautiful. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know how to read music. And my wife was just like, wow, that was really beautiful. And I had tears rolling down my face because it's like, I created that. That's like, I can't describe what that's like to create your own language, to create your own. And that doesn't compare to listening to someone else's music. It just doesn't.
Damn. That's beautiful. Beautiful, yeah. Man. I love it. I love it. So I love this direction, and I want to get into now the focus of how do we get our message out? How do we impact thousands while we're in our underwear, man? And where did that come from? What was the inspiration behind that unique positioning that in your underwear?
Okay, so first of all, I mean, the book that I wrote, The Self Help Addict, essentially came from the fact that I am by nature a self-help addict. And so let me just describe that for a second for those of you that don't know what I mean by self-help addict. I'll paint a little picture. So if you can imagine back in the good old days when you had bookstores, right, before Amazon came and basically butchered everyone and killed them and made a mass murder of the bookstore industry. Before those days, I would walk into Barnes and Nobles in California. My wife's from California, so we lived in California, and I would be walking into the store, and she would be like, "No," you know. I was like, "Whoa," and she grabbed me by my arm. She's like, "Don't go in there," and I'm like, "Why?" And she says, "Because every time you go into that bookstore, you spend like hours getting lost in there. I can't find you. You just go off in your own world, and I can't get you out." And she's right. That's what happens. And I'm just like, "Listen, honey, take the kids out for some ice cream, you know, buy yourself something nice, you know, I'll be an hour, that's it, tops. I'll be out in an hour." She's like, "Okay," you know, and she gives in. And I just go into this store and I'm just like, this is beautiful. And I just head over to like the self-help section, to the new bestsellers or whatever it is, like, you know, the new section. And I pile up like 10 or 15 books, and I start like looking at the front, the title, and the back, like, oh, who gave it testimonials? Like, who did they pay to give them testimonials? I'm kidding. The contents, oh yeah, wow. And I start flicking through, and I'm looking for, like, you know what I'm looking for, Chris? I'm looking for the one, right? It's like I'm looking for the messiah of books, like the one that's going to change my life. It's going to heal me. It's going to just like change everything. And after, I think, about 10, 20 minutes, I finally like pick one. And I was like, this is it. This is the one, right? I put it under my arm, and like a baby, right? I'm holding it like a baby. And I go to the checkout, and I take out my credit card, and I pay for the book. And I take out my yellow marker pen. Because, of course, all self-help addicts have a yellow marker pen, right?
Yep.
Find a quiet little corner somewhere, and you open the book, and that smell of a new book, just it's like, take in that beautiful smell, and there's that also that crackling sound of the book just opening. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Kindle just ruined it for me. Like, oh, come on, guy. Like, I can't mark a pen. I can't crack it open. I can't smell it. No, I need to smell the thing. I need to crack it open. I need to marker pen it. And of course, I start marker penning every line in the book because everything's a game changer. Everything's like, wow, this is going to change my life. Oh, this is going to change my life. Oh my God, wow, this is amazing. Yep. Wow, the whole book. And it's like, then I realized, like, what the heck is the point of marker penning if you marker pen the whole book? My whole book is yellow. What's the point of the whole book being yellow? The whole point of marker penning is that I can look at the ones that highlight, but every page is highlighted. So what's the point? Anyway, I get to the end of the book. Right, you get to the end of the book, and suddenly you get that sinking feeling inside, that feeling of, oh no, that's it? That's it, right? Why? Because here's the thing. As self-help addicts, we consume, because the more we consume, the more we can justify not taking action. As long as I'm reading my book, I don't have to do anything, because I'm taking in information. I'm learning. Yeah, I'm preparing. I'm planning. I'm going to conquer the world when I finish this book. Right? Once I get all the information from the book, then I'm going to be able to do everything I need to do. The problem is when we get to the end of the book, we get to the end of the rope. And now there's nothing left to hang on to. So what do we do as self-help addicts? We look for our next hit. What's that? Well, at the back of the book, the author has his website there, or her website. So we go quickly to the website and we see, oh, they've got a free webinar. Wow, there we go. That's it. I just need to go to the free webinar, and then I'm going to change my life, right? Sign up to the free webinar, and you're like, oh, great, it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's recorded, whatever. Don't tell them. But anyway, you go to the free webinar, and you're like, get out your notepad. You're all prepared, right? You got your pen. Like, I'm taking this seriously. This is going to change my life, right? So take all your notes, like, you got the whole book written out there. You get to the end of the webinar, and what happens? The host of the webinar says, your guru, by the way, he's now your guru, she's now your guru, says, if you really want to change your life, yes, I do, yes, I do, yes, I do, what do I do? Then you should join me at my live seminar in Vegas, August 31st. You know, all you have to do is buy tickets, and you got, flights and the hotels, whatever. And you're like, I'm kind of broke, and it's $3,999 plus the flights and the hotels. But you know what? This is an investment in my life. I mean, this is going to change my life. What's that? Well, I'm not going to tell my wife or my spouse, because, they don't need to know, right? And by the time they see the credit card bill, I'll already have made back 10x, because that's what they promised. 10x, right? So I'm going to 10x my whole thing, so that'll be fine, right? So you swipe the credit card, right, and the bank's still chasing you for the money. It's okay. By the time they catch up to me, I'll be a millionaire. And so you swipe the card, you fly off to Vegas, right? And of course, you're amongst all these self-help addicts in one room. It's like a bunch of self-help addicts going, yes, we're going to change our lives, yes. And you're like, wow, I've met my crowd. This is amazing. And Tony Robbins is standing on stage, the guru. He's there in the flesh. And you're like, I could lick him. And if I maybe part of my saliva will take in and ingest his DNA, then I'll be able to be that big, great, whatever it is. By the way, a lot of what I'm saying is playful. I'm playing. Totally. I love Tony Robbins. I do. I think he's amazing. I'm just showing you a part of me. I'm sharing with you me, who I was, the kind of person that I was, this addicted, like, guru, like, God, give me you. You're amazing. Like, and what happens at the end of this amazing seminar? You've written down all your life goals, and you've done all your affirmations, and you've got your whole life planned out. Like, literally, the next 50 years, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy this island. I'm going to buy, and then you get home, and the next morning you hit the snooze button. You're like, I feel like going to Barnes and Nobles. I've got to find a good book. Go find a good book on Amazon or something. Like, hey, do you know any good books? And the cycle continues. You're stuck in this cycle. Right. And so I wrote the book to help people break that cycle.
Wow. I totally get it, man. It is an epidemic that's going on these days because we live in this information society where everyone says, I just need more information. I just need that next piece of... Yeah, exactly. So you gave them an answer on how they can actually exit that cycle and the habits and the programming that keeps them stuck there, the mental programming, the habitual stuff. So they get unstuck.
Here's the thing I wanted to also paint a little picture as well, is that you talked about information overdose and obesity. I call it also obesity. It's interesting how when you're physically obese, right, it's because you've taken in too much food and you haven't converted the food into energy, which means you have to go for a run, or you need to go for a swim, or do some weights, or you just got to be active, right? And because you don't burn that that fat. Because you don't burn the food, it becomes fat. It just
Right.
gets stupid, and then you're just getting fatter and fatter. So that and you can clearly see it. It's clear that that's why you're obese. The problem with self-help addicts is we don't look obese on the outside, but our brains are obese.
Wow.
Why? Because we're taking in so much information. We're consuming and consuming. It's like eating hamburgers after French fries, hamburgers, more French fries, more hamburgers. And your brain, because you're not converting it into something, you're not taking action,
Right.
you're getting fat in your head. You're literally, your brain is getting obese, and that's why we get overwhelmed. What happens when you become obese? You slow down. You're heavy, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, your brain, when there's too much information up there and you're not converting it,
Wow.
you slow down, your brain slows down, you feel heavy, you get depressed, and we wonder why. It's because of all that consumption.
Damn.
And we're not converting it.
Damn. Dude, this is gold. And people, obviously, you will be able to access Daniel's book at the end. He'll share about that as well. And Daniel, just to really recap, because we got a couple minutes left to go. In terms of, it's flying. In terms of the, reaching thousands while in the underwear, let's dive into that real quick and just get the main points across that our audience needs to know.
Okay, so a lot of the concepts, by the way, that I spoke about, that I touched on today, it's all in the book, The Self Help Addict. So for those that want to learn more about that, it will be there. We don't have enough time to cover it. But fast forwarding to being able to speak to thousands of people in your underwear, essentially podcasting. It's all about podcasting. There is a gold mine that exists today, and if you don't right now take advantage of it, you are going to kick yourself in your behind in months or years from now. I promise you. You will be kicking yourself. Right now, it is there's a golden opportunity. Getting on podcast shows, you can speak to thousands of people literally without flying across the world, without getting on a stage in New York and getting in front of 300 or 500 people, without having to get on a TEDx stage or whatever it is. And that's all great. But here's the thing. When you get on a podcast show, like I'm sitting here in my hotel, I'm actually on vacation right now with my wife. My wife's putting the kids to bed. God bless her, right? She's putting the kids to bed. I'm sitting in a hotel lobby right now, okay? And I'm speaking. I don't know how many people are listening to this, okay? But I haven't left. I'm not in my underwear right now. Don't get too excited. I'm actually in my pajamas, okay? I'm in my pajamas. I'm sitting in a hotel in my pajamas, and I'm talking to I don't know how many people from all over the world.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
Do you understand? Like, that's crazy. And if you're not going out there and getting yourself on every podcast you can possibly get yourself on, you're nuts. Because you need to be getting yourself out there. You need to be sharing your message and sharing your story with other people. You need to be impacting people. You were born to express yourself. And I don't want to hear all these excuses about, well, no, stop it. Stop it. Just get on shows and start. And this is why I created podbooker.com. So podbooker.com came about because I started to see people who were pitching themselves to try and come on my show. And number one, the pitches were really bad because they didn't know how to pitch themselves. And I turned down about 95% of people who pitch because it's really they don't know how to do it, right? And so originally I started a service, Gefen Media Group, where I would get clients on shows. We would book them for them. It was a done for you service. We still offer it, but it's very high end. It's about $5,500 just to start the package. And I started noticing that a lot of our competitors were also charging a lot of money for their clients to get on shows. And I thought, well, hold on a second. What about all these people who they can't afford thousands of dollars to get on shows? What about creating a platform where they can go on the platform, subscribe, and they could pitch themselves to hosts? They can have a bio, and we teach you how to pitch yourself. So we will have tutorials and things like that on how to be a great guest, how to pitch yourself. Everything's on the platform, so you don't have to find the host's emails. You don't have to try to look on iTunes and try to find the right shows. Everything's categorized, so you can actually search for the type of hosts or the type of shows that you want to go on. So if you're a chef and you want to get on cooking podcasts, or you want to get on, I don't know, how to sell gummy bears. I don't know. That was completely random. There's no show. I promise you, there's no podcast. Don't Google it. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. There's no gummy bear podcast. But there is a lot. There's 500,000 podcasts. Let's put it.
Yeah.
Let me give you some
Wow.
facts. There's 500,000 podcasts active right now. That's growing. There are 73 million Americans just in America alone. There's 73 million people listening to podcasts a month. 73 million, and that number is growing every month. And this is, what YouTube did to TV. It killed TV. Netflix,
Right.
YouTube, TV, radio. It's dying. Podcasting is taking over radio. So imagine getting on, radio stations for free. Imagine just jumping on radio. It's like you're talking to people all over the world
Yeah.
without having to fly on a plane, without having to check into, a hotel, without having to pay all that money out. Like you're just sitting in your pajamas or in your underwear in your bedroom,
Yeah.
talking to people. It's amazing.
Instant access.
Instant access, and you need to be doing it because you have it in you, and that's the whole thing about stop consuming and start creating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, consistency with that creation is so critical too, Daniel. And I've seen you be consistent and keep putting more and more stuff out, keep getting better and better guests. So I love that. And then especially owning that self-expression, owning your voice, owning that you have a story, you have information, you have a perspective, experience, wisdom that can make a difference for other people. So it's time to start applying that. And like you said earlier, like if you wait to jump into this game of self-expression, of owning your message, your voice, your brand, standing up for what you believe in, building that following, building that presence, or that group of leaders who stays connected with you to get the information, to get the transformation, like you'll be kicking yourself in months or years when you see all these other people around you who have taken the time to develop that, who started when you could have started. But you said, it's not the right time, it's not for me, excuse, play small, blah, 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 blah. Daniel's saying, and I'm saying, rise up to the challenge and own who you are and what you're capable of. So Daniel, let's start bringing it home, man. And let's give people a call to action to raise up into their greatest possible self around podcasting, around not being self-help addicts, and getting to their next step.
So you want practical, what should they do?
Yep.
Well, I think sign up to podbooker.com, subscribe there. It's actually, when is this show going live, Chris?
It's about eight weeks from now.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so Podbooker is going live October 31st.
Oh, perfect.
So if you're listening to this before October 31st, 2018, you can sign up. And you've got we've got a special rate, a pre-order. So if you pre-order or if you pre-sign up, I don't know the word, pre-whatever, right? Pre-whatever, you get a special huge discount. Okay. And if it's after the October 31st, then you can literally sign up today, go onto podbooker.com and access the platform. And honestly, the best thing I can advise you really is to just start getting on podcasts, just start booking yourselves on, because all the information that you're gathering, you're not going to learn as much as when you actually are doing it. When you're doing the thing, you can watch karate as much as you want. You can watch hours and hours and hours, but unless you actually do the motions and you get into the ring and you fight, you're not gonna, you can watch someone play music unless you pick up a guitar and you start playing, And look, get over the fact that you're gonna suck. You are. The first time you're gonna sound like a moron. That's fine.
Yep.
That is fine. Nobody really cares. It will be yesterday's news and you'll be forgotten and you'll just do another one and another one and another one. Go look at Gary Vaynerchuk's first ever video. He looks like a moron. He does. He sounds like a moron, and the camera is all fuzzy, and he doesn't know what he's saying. He looks awkward. But look at him now, for crying out loud, right? Yeah. Why? Because he just kept showing up and kept showing up and kept showing up. Listen to my first ever episode of Can I Pick Your Brain? I refused to listen to it because I just, oh my God, what the hell? Oh my goodness, right? Do it. You keep doing it. Keep doing it. You get better at it. So get yourself out there. Start producing. Keep going.
Beautiful. And then how do people stay connected with you, and what do we want them to do next, Daniel?
They could buy my book as long as they do me one favor and actually put things into action. Don't just read it. I don't want people sending me messages saying that was really inspiring. No. Inspiration is plenty. I don't need to inspire you. There's plenty of other people that can inspire you. I want you to go and actually write me an email saying, hey, Daniel, I read your book, and guess what? I've written my own. That's what I want. Hey, I read your book, and guess what? I started my own podcast show. Yes.
Damn.
Hey, Daniel, I read your book, and I've got myself on 10 shows. I've booked myself on 10 podcast shows. I gave a speech at this university. I started my own business. I picked up a guitar. I started playing. That's what I want to hear. People actually do it. So go buy my book if you're going to do something about it. It's called The Self Help Addict. Get it on Amazon in your pajamas, and get yourself on podbooker.com. Sign yourself up. Get yourself out there, and that's it.
Love it. Daniel, the Daniel Gefen, you are the man. Thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing your wisdom, for being your greatest possible self, and for providing an amazing life for your family, your wife and your kids, and everyone around you, just sharing your wisdom, your knowledge so openly, and creating this amazing service so that people can get their message out, man. Thank you.
So thank you very much for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. We will definitely stay in contact. I see awesome things for both of us, man, together and in our own lives, respectively. Daniel, stay up, keep being your greatest possible self, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Speak to you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye for now.